Well, Allegra, it is so nice to be here with you today and to kick off AdWeek together. And I love that you and your work are being celebrated in a day all about female leadership. You have such an amazing portfolio of work from your time at Gap, Sephora, and now McDonald's. So much to talk about. But first, I just want to let the audience know a little overview of our time today. So we've got some prepared questions, and then I'm going to save probably 5 or so minutes for Q&A. Does that sound good? Yes, okay. Some good head nods there. All right, so let's dive in. Allegra, one commonality between the iconic brands that you've worked on is that they're all founded in brick and mortar based businesses. But you are a digital transformer. So tell us a little bit about how you were able to help these brands embrace digital.
All right. Well, hello, everyone, again. So it's been a really fun journey for me. I actually started at Gap Inc. in 2000. And really have spent most of my career in marketing. We'll call it 98%. So as you can imagine, my early career in marketing was not digital based. It was a bit more analog. So we spent time on things like in-store marketing. When I first started in marketing, I was working on the circular, which is kind of wild. It's that thing that goes in the newspaper. And did a little bit of everything from TV to fashion print, segment strategies, country strategies, and had a lot of fun doing that. And that then brought me into my last 3.5 years at Gap Inc., where I oversaw CRM, personalization, loyalty, and payments. And so really starting to connect back to the customer. Of course, when we first started, it was really direct mail based with that one-to-one communication. But a couple of things that we did at Gap that were, kind of new thinking for us is really bringing to life more of that test and learn mentality. And then the other thing that we did was actually prove out, I was able to lead and prove out our first successful online campaign, which is kind of wild. It was actually not well believed that online could actually drive and media campaign like that could actually drive store traffic, and it did just that. And so it really ended up transforming the way in which we approached our marketing. And then that brought me to Sephora, where I was for 6 years. So when I was at Sephora, for the ladies in the room, I'm sure you're very familiar with the Beauty Insider program. See lots of head nods.
We have you to thank for that.
Yeah. And that was a ton of fun. Sephora was in a very different place than Gap Inc. We had the benefit of launching a loyalty program in 2007. So we had nearly all of our transactions were running through the loyalty program. So we had incredible knowledge about our first party data. And I had the privilege of actually relaunching our loyalty program a couple times over, and not only doing the loyalty components, but also personalization, insights, payments as well. And so lots of different verticals within my time at Sephora. But I think what was most fun for me as I think about the work that we did on the Beauty Insider program was the way in which I think about loyalty, which you'll hear me talk a bit about today, is that it's this combination of transactional and emotional. And so we really wanted to ensure that we were bringing more of the emotional components to life through the loyalty program. And so we had the privilege of having 300 brands, 300 plus brand founders. So think Kat Von D, Marc Jacobs, you name it. So as you can imagine, lots of customers who wanted to have that experience with those brand founders. And so we actually set up once in a lifetime experiences that you could actually redeem your points for and get these moments that were really special, unique moments with some of these brand founders. And that was a ton of fun. And so from there, we then actually continue to kind of explore evolving the program further and bringing in new components like a points for charity angle, where you could actually redeem your points on charities that were meaningful to you. So really fun experience when I was at Sephora, and really different parts of the journey. I would say, kind of just proving out the value of first-party data at Gap Inc. and proving out the value of digital to then Sephora, which was much more of a connected ecosystem, and having so much first-party data and data from our customers that was not only transactional, but everything that they told us, within our Beauty Insider community environment as well, and really hearing about their favorite products. So it was a fun journey at those two brands.
Awesome. Well, let's move to present day and your work at McDonald's. I have a two-part question for you. And the first is, what motivated you to join McDonald's? And then the second is, were there any transferable learnings from selling jeans and blush to selling burgers and fries?
So I think, what motivated me to join McDonald's is that, I had incredible love for the Sephora brand and had a lot of fun when I was there. But what I was really excited about was getting the ability to really bring to life so much of what we had already built at Sephora and bring that to life at McDonald's. And of course, the scale of McDonald's is like nothing else. So that's pretty cool as well. But it's just been over the last couple years that we have launched loyalty across US and some of our lead markets. And so really being able to harness that first-party data asset and bring the importance of the first-party data through the system and through the organization was pretty exciting for me. And then also just really being able to think about our data architecture, infrastructure, and how we think about our MarTech to really enable and activate our marketing at the scale that we are was really my motivation. And I will say it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun as well. So it's been great. And then I think just the second part to be, at the end of the day, and I think this will resonate with everyone in this room. It's all about putting the customer at the center, right? And of course, the customers all look a little bit different, feel a little bit different, act a little bit different between Gap, Sephora, McDonald's, but at the end of the day, it's about knowing your customer, knowing what they want from us as a brand, and then really being able to deliver that in the way in which we activate our marketing.
Fantastic. So McDonald's early differentiator was its efficiency, powered by the food prep assembly line. And while operational rigor is still paramount to McDonald's, you guys have done a fantastic job of moving beyond the transactional, as you spoke of, and really leaning into the emotional connection. Can you talk to us a little bit about the strategies that you use to, pun intended, feed those emotional connections?
Yeah, and as I said earlier, for me, it's always the balance of the transactional and the emotional. And I think the emotional is really where you start to drive that engagement. And we have had some really fun campaigns over the last couple of years that I think really bring to life the emotional components. And I think what allows us to bring to life those emotional components is truly starting with that customer insight. And I think if you start with that customer insight, that it builds more of that connection between our customers and our fan base and the brand as well. And so a few different campaigns that we have done to really bring this to life. One is Famous Orders. So Famous Orders was all built off of the insight that everyone has their own unique McDonald's order, celebrities included. And so we did a whole campaign, many different celebrities, and then actually took it to a global basis with the BTS band, which was really fun to bring that to life and really kind of tap into that insight. And the other one for me that really resonates is if you think about last year's Super Bowl, can I get I think everyone, again, can kind of resonate with that feeling of, okay, what am I going to order when I go into the restaurant, into the drive-thru? What is that experience for me? And then the last one I will mention, which is, for me, again, starting with the insight, building that emotional connection, is in the UK, we launched a campaign called Raise Your Arches. And it was all about, all you have to do is look at a friend and raise your arches, think, the M's, raise your arches and go to McDonald's together. And what was really cool about that campaign and tapping into the insight, but also it was a campaign that we were actually able to share and scale across the system. And the Middle East actually created their own version of it that was really relevant and resonated with their customers as well. So really, again, I think for me, the emotional connection is tapping into that deep customer insight, and a deep customer insight that actually transcends country walls and boundaries is something that's incredibly powerful.
And how do you strike a balance between those campaigns that have the borrowed or shared equity versus those that are strictly McDonald's focused?
Yeah. Yeah, so I do believe that there is a role for both. I think that it is very important that we think about where is that, where do those partnerships come into play, where we really have that shared equity. But I also, of course, Birdie Socks, think that there is incredible power in our own equity as well. And I think a couple different examples of us bringing this to life this year. Recently, we did a partnership with Loki, and we had kind of full integration into their platform, and vice versa. It showed up in the restaurant. There was even a Snap activation. So, there was kind of full integration and partnership with that brand. And it, for me, it really, comes and delivers really more from a customer experience, and it's more of that kind of 1 + 1 = 3, right? You see incredible kind of rise of both of the brands when you have a partnership that makes a lot of sense like that. And then, for our own owned equity, the Grimace Shake example was a great example, which of course, for those of us in the US, I'm sure we saw it, it kind of like took over everything. And just really taking a moment that so many customers really resonated and responded to was, pretty exciting and fun to see as well.
Yeah, I loved the low-key activation you did, both with the store in Brooklyn that allowed you to experience what a McDonald's looked like in the 70s. So really allowing you to create that emotional connection through a participatory marketing.
Yeah.
And then on Snap, I love how you guys used the sweet and sour packets. And then you could actually scan the packet and start to see some of the footage that never made it to air. So I love that you guys are just bringing in that participatory nature versus just telling people a story. You're really bringing them in to strengthen that emotional connection. And on the Grimace front, Grimace was a huge hit in my household. I'm a McDonald's kid of the 80s. Shh, it's kind of dating myself. But I grew up with Grimace, and I loved Grimace, but my kids had never heard of Grimace before. And then fast forward to last week, and I was driving my son Anderson's basketball carpool, and 3 of the boys are going as Grimace for Halloween, and they're in 5th grade. So talk about being able to bridge generations, but with one marketing campaign. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you'll have to take photos of them.
Absolutely. And we talked a little bit about your loyalty program. And it's been a really busy time for you in launching the loyalty program, and now you're live in most of your markets. But can you talk a little bit about the role of the loyalty program in your digital ecosystem, as well as how that loyalty program kind of plays into the other consumer touch points?
Yeah. So it has been busy, a lot of fun as well. Just like I said, over the last couple of years, we have launched across the majority of our lead markets. We're now live in over 50 countries. And I would say that, and I touched a little bit on how I think about transactional emotional earlier, but I think part of what allowed us to get to that scale as quickly as we did is that we primarily have a transactional loyalty program as of right now, right? So it's mainly earn points, redeem for food. Of course, there are different components of how that comes to life across different markets, but that's really the core of it. And so I think as we think about, continued evolution of the program, really leaning into how we bring in more of those emotional components of loyalty to life for our customers is going to be really important. And like I said, we do see pockets of that, whether or not it's access gated behind the app or being able to redeem for charity rewards in the UK. They actually set that up as well. So we're seeing pockets of it, but I think there's opportunity for us to more intentionally bring in kind of the emotional components of loyalty. And the way I think about loyalty is that really it is the entry into our digital ecosystem. It gives us kind of the right and privilege to have that connection with our customers within the digital ecosystem. So everything from not only the app experience, but the kiosk to the drive-through to all of the other ways that a customer can pay and order within kind of the digital ecosystem. And so a critical component in figuring out how we continue to excite and engage those customers is going to be part of my journey over the next few years, which is an exciting one.
Fantastic. When we talk about loyalty, let's talk a little bit about Gen Z. This is a generation that we at Snap know a lot about. We reach 90% of 13 to 24-year-olds in the US, and that stat holds true for the majority of your lead markets as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you've evolved your marketing strategy to connect with this very distinct generation?
Yes, I do not fall in that generation, in case that wasn't clear. But a lot of respect and love for those generations. And I think that, two of the things that I see as more of the future trend, and I think, Katelyn, you touched a little bit on this as well, is brand entertainment. And then just continuing to evolve what a frictionless world looks like for us, and especially for the McDonald's brand. I think brand entertainment is very interesting as we think about how you actually bridge the gap. And again, I think this is something you touched a little bit on with the Snap activation, is bridging the gap from experience to brand and back to experience again. And I think that is going to be increasingly more important for us as a brand, and how we actually do that in a way that's really compelling for customers as well. The other piece is that, as we all well know, the expectations of a frictionless, easy, seamless experience has only gotten higher. And as that has happened across, so many different brands, partners, our expectations continue to rise. And so how do we continue to stay one step ahead as we're engaging our customers and really ensuring that we are building more of that connected digital ecosystem, building an environment that really creates a friction-free experience for our customers so that they can engage with us as a brand in whatever way they want to, right? And that may be a low-key Snap activation. It may be purchasing. It may be getting in and out of drive-through as quickly as humanly possible, right? And so how do we make sure that we've got all of those components built so that we can really deliver on that?
Are there any global nuances? Like, does it change when you're thinking of the different markets that you are covering?
Yeah, I mean, there are slight nuances across the globe, of course. But, I would say that there are pretty similar trends. I mean, you see areas like China, for example, we over-distort and over-index on mobile usage, right? And so there's pretty much almost all of the orders are going through mobile, and so many are actually digital and not actually even using the in-restaurant experience and using, phone, whether or not it's in restaurant or outside. And so there are some nuances, but at the end of the day, I think, and it goes back to my point earlier when I was talking about the transactional and emotional as we went through the campaigns, if you start with a really solid customer insight, those insights tend to be able to really, have legs and really go across the entire globe. And so, I think that from where I'm sitting, again, you see slight nuances, but I think there's a lot of overlap in what is really resonating with customers.
We are so proud and grateful for our McDonald's partnership, McDonald's Snap partnership. Can you talk a little bit about why you think Snap is a fit and a strong partner for you guys?
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, we are all about at McDonald's creating feel-good experiences easy for everyone. We want to create those moments of joy, those moments of fun, those moments of happy. And I think that is really strongly linked to the Snap brand as well, and really creating that connection, moments of fun with customers. And so I think, I touched on this a little bit earlier, but I really believe that 1 + 1 = 3 mentality pays out, especially when you have two brands that come together that have kind of very aligned and similar brand ethos and vision for where they want to take their brand. And so see that quite a bit. And of course, we've touched quite a bit on the Snap Loki activation, but that was just a great example of us, really taking something and taking not only the partnership, bringing, McDonald's into the Loki experience, but then also being able to really bring that to life through an activation with our sauces in restaurant. And so again, incredible partnership. But, even more important maybe is that, incredible content delivery for our customers and really cool ways to engage them in unique ways.
Well, you nailed the Snap value prop, so kudos to you for that. And one additional stat, just as you're talking about joy that both our brands evoke, One additional stat that we're really proud of is that over 90% of Snapchatters say the app makes them feel happy, which is very different when you think about the competitive set. And as the mother of a 14-year-old daughter, something that I very much value. So kudos to you for knowing Snap so well and really being able to lean in and leverage it in the right way. Keeping in mind with the theme of today, what advice would you offer to women who are earlier in their careers?
Yeah, so I think this is a fun one for me. What I will say about my own career, and I'm sure this will resonate with many of you in the room, is that every job I took was because I wanted to learn new things and grow my toolkit, right? And so if I think about, of course, within the time I was at Gap Inc., I had lots of different jobs at that company, I think 8 in total. But every new job was about kind of me learning new skills. And that was the motivation that brought me to Sephora, learning a new industry, new business with beauty, but also learning some new components and complexities of a business. And then, of course, with McDonald's as well, global scale earlier in the journey. And so really exciting time to be a part of that brand. And I will say as well that I definitely, I don't get it right all the time. In fact, there was a moment yesterday where I had to tell someone, I'll be honest, I'm not sure I did my best in showing up for you guys on this. And I think that it's really about, figuring out where are the opportunities to push yourself, understanding where are those moments where you maybe can do better, and just actually being kind of honest with yourself and your peers and partners about that, and moving forward. I like the fun, big intellectual challenges that sometimes have their moments of a lot of work and sometimes have their moments of a lot of joy, but yeah, I just think continuing to challenge myself and learning new areas of different businesses. I think it's been really fun for me as well to go from apparel that was very different, from beauty that is very different, to QSR, quick service restaurant, for those not in the industry.
Well, I love that. Well, speaking of challenges, I'm going to do a quick lightning round for you, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A. You spoke about famous orders, and we are all wanting to know, what is your famous McDonald's order?
Okay, my famous order, yes. My famous order is filet of fish, no tartar sauce, no cheese, small fries, barbecue sauce. It's very specific. I mean, I do work at McDonald's.
Yes. I was not thinking filet of fish. You're keeping me on my toes. Okay, drive-through, delivery, dine-in, and now I have to add in here, or mobile order?
I mean, I don't know. I would probably say kiosk, actually, which is what's in kiosk, yes. Or mobile order. I would say those two are probably the most used for me these days.
All right. Yeah. Kiosk, that's one that I should have added in there.
But early memories would have been drive-through for the Sunday. Yeah.
Yes. All right, one last question. And I know we've spent a lot of time this morning actually talking about Taylor and Travis. But I wanted to ask, we're speaking about powerful female leaders. So what Taylor Swift era would you be?
Yeah, so I was telling Katelyn, I'm not a huge Swiftie, but I have to be honest, I'm a little obsessed with everything that's happened. Maybe it's because they've taken over, any sort of social media. But, I think, it's been fun to watch her, and especially grow and to develop into the woman she is today, and such an amazing brand and icon herself. But probably the reputation to her, I think, she had a moment where she was able to kind of come out, stand up for herself, and really kind of show a different level of power and strength that was really cool to see from her. So
I love that. She took the power back.
She did.
Well, fantastic. We have a few moments left, I believe, for Q&A. Yes? All right. Who has some questions?
There's one there.
Hi, my name is Dan. I work at Iris. I was wondering, you've led the way in loyalty programs for all of QSR. What mistakes have you made being inevitably the first one to try a lot of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you know, gosh, I mean, all kinds of, where do I start? I guess that's always I think one of the things that we didn't do at the start, but then did do, which I think, so it's a little bit of, didn't do and then got ourselves back on track, was building a program that really brings to life the concept of freedom within a framework. And so what I mean by that is, of course, because I sit within a global capacity, we also have teams within markets or countries that do both the strategy and the execution. And so, but in order to build that from a technology standpoint, we needed it to kind of be built on a common chassis, if you will. And so we built that framework to then allow markets to take that loyalty framework and then kind of customize it so that it was going to be most relevant for their customers. So I think, not starting with that, but then really solidifying that and ensuring that we were able to deliver that through our product and tech teams was one of kind of the biggest unlocks for us for the brand. Yeah, thank you.
One more question. Time for one more question.
Yeah, so I was fascinated to hear that when you're at Sephora, I forget what the number was, but a huge share of the transactions were through loyalty.
Majority.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can publicly tell you, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
I think almost all.
But it must be interesting now being at McDonald's because you now have so many in-store cash transactions that aren't going through loyalty. And you talked about harnessing all the first-party data. So how are you handling that at McDonald's that so many of your relationships are sort of more anonymous now?
Yeah, I mean, there's still such power and scale in our first-party data asset, even though it is in our customer base within the digital ecosystem is, a bit smaller than it was at Sephora. But I think, for us, there's still so much that we can do as we activate and engage and drive acquisition of loyalty and how we bring a customer through the digital ecosystem. We're thinking about net new channels we want to bring into play to really drive that increased engagement. So for us, we're in strong acquisition mode, which is a fun place to be. But of course, it's a balance, right? And so we're always looking at what are the things we can do to acquire new customers into the ecosystem and what are the things we need to keep doing to evolve and ensure that we are retaining and engaging those customers. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Can we get a round of applause for Allegra, please?
Thank you.